23 become the G23. The big focus on 5 Live. The G23 becoming the G23 is only one headline in what has turned out to be a total political tamasha in the guise of an internal democratic election to choose the next president of the Congress party. Nobody should make light of this fact because this is not a joke by any stretch of imagination. This is India's largest opposition party, but the manner in which they've tried to project this as internal democracy and what it has ended up being looked at as by the public and even by people within the Congress are two very, very different things. And I'm going to take you through precisely what kind of drama has taken place today. All of it first here on India Today. I'm Shiv Aroor. This is 5 Live. These are the headlines. After filing nomination, Shashi Tharoor fires at Congress leadership over Kharge's candidature. Calls Kharge a candidate of continuity, not of change. Congress Yatra enters first BJP-ruled state Karnataka. Rahul fires fresh salvo at the RSS, says the Sangh is spreading divisions in society. Prime Minister Modi's Day 2 of Gujarat outreach inaugurates mega infrastructure projects, flags off Gandhinagar to Mumbai, Vande Bharat Express and Ahmedabad Metro. Putin signs executive orders recognizing Kherson and Zaporizhia as now part of Russian territory. Ukraine President Zelensky calls Russia a terrorist state and a bloodthirsty scum. We've got live coverage starting at 5:30 p.m. right here on India Today. Hurricane Ian pounds Florida. Raging floodwaters wreak havoc, rain, storm and blackouts across the southern US state. Don't know if we should still be calling it a race, but the race for who will be the next Congress president has heated up. Is it a fixed match? Is it a script? Is it a tamasha? Well, only the Congress can really answer that. But the battle will now be prospectively between Gandhi loyalist 80-year-old Mallikarjun Kharge and Shashi Tharoor, who is much younger. Digvijaya Singh, considered to be one of the closest aides of the Gandhis, has pulled out of the race just days after confirming his candidature. Shashi Tharoor, one of the staunchest critics of the High Command in recent times, part of the G23, even though he's not an official candidate, has now filed his nomination for the Congress chief's post. And he is going the whole hog. He's got a campaign video, he's got his own manifesto, he's got all the bells and whistles ringing on social media. He's taking this election with total seriousness like candidate Tharoor. But is it really an election or is it a selection? K.N. Tripathi, a former Jharkhand MLA, has also plunked himself into this so-called race. Mallikarjun Kharge, meanwhile, is now a front runner from the Congress top job. Currently, he has the backing of the Gandhi family. This was inadvertently left out by senior leader Kumari Selja, who has gone on to delete her tweet calling Kharge a chosen person by the Gandhi family. Rajasthan Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot, remember, was the initial selectee, but he also backed out after that huge rebellion and drama. Digvijaya Singh, who threw his weight behind Kharge, has now gone conspicuously silent. So all those who are talking are no longer talking. Those who are supposed to file their nomination have backed out at the last minute. Nobody knows what's really happening. There's a lot of shadow play, palace intrigue in the darbar of the Congress party. But as we had told you yesterday, here on India Today, it's going to be Mallikarjun Kharge versus Shashi Tharoor. Is it really an election though? Watch this report.
First came the Trump.
तो मैंने तय किया है अब मैं इस माहौल के अंदर चुनाव नहीं लड़ूंगा ये मेरा फैसला है.
And the Trump withdrew unceremoniously a week later. This 75-year-old upped the stakes next.
मैं आज अपना नामांकन फॉर्म लेने आया हूं और संभवतः कल भरूंगा, लेकिन अब उनका इरादा है फॉर्म भरने का, तो मैंने कहा है कि ठीक है, मैं आपका प्रस्तावक बनूंगा।
But walked back blank a day later. And here comes the High Command's wild card, and among its oldest in the Congress fold, 80-year-old Mallikarjun Kharge. The leader of opposition in the Rajya Sabha, the party's Dalit face down south in Karnataka, a former union minister, and above all, a long-time loyalist of the Gandhi family.
कांग्रेस पार्टी के जो उसूल है, जो आइडियोलॉजी है, उस आइडियोलॉजी के साथ मैं बचपन से जुड़ा हूं। जब मैं 8th 9th में पढ़ता था, आज मुझे फिर कांग्रेस पार्टी के सभी नेताओं ने आशीर्वाद करके अपने गुड विशेस मेरे साथ रख के आज मुझे कांग्रेस प्रेसिडेंट के लिए ये नामांकित किया गया है। या मैं जो आज जो फॉर्म भर रहा हूं, तो बड़े उत्साह के साथ मेरे साथ सभी लोग जुड़े हैं।
Kharge filed his nomination for party presidency on Friday. This after other veterans Ashok Gehlot and Digvijaya Singh bowed out.
The Congress is chaotic, and that chaos was reflected that Digvijaya Singh decides, plunges into the contest. Lots of people have come here from Madhya Pradesh hearing that Digvijaya is going to contest, and then the Congress leadership is able to convince or is able to build a consensus around Mr. Kharge and convince number of other leaders that look, Kharge is the best man for the job, someone who's a pure Congress loyalist. And Mr. Digvijaya Singh has no option then but to bow out, because look, at the end of the day, no one wants to defy the Congress High Command beyond a point. Ashok Gehlot attempted to do so, and you saw what happened in Rajasthan.
Drama in full swing at the Congress headquarters as the members of the G23 came in their hordes to support Kharge's candidacy. Not seen in the good books of the Gandhis, many of them signed off as proposers in his nomination document.
श्री मल्लिकार्जुन खड़गे बहुत ही कांग्रेस पार्टी के वरिष्ठ नेता हैं और मैं और श्री आनंद शर्मा जी दोनों उनका जो नामांकन है उसका समर्थन करने के लिए आए हैं।
Party MP Shashi Tharoor filed his nomination some hours before. He tweeted out this video showcasing his appeal at the local and at the global level.
ये 23 लोग मेरे ख्याल में कभी भी एक साथ इकट्ठे नहीं हुए हैं मेरी जानकारी में। अगर उनमें से कुछ लोग 4-5 लोग जो भी है खरगे साहब को मदद करेंगे, मैं बिल्कुल रिस्पेक्ट करता हूं। ये तो अच्छी बात है खरगे साहब के लिए।
Even as Tharoor projected his candidacy as a serious bid, voices within the Congress emerged that he better retreat from the race.
I think all of us should now rally around and unanimously elect him the next president. Now I would request Mr. Shashi Tharoor to withdraw.
That said, a former Jharkhand minister and Congress leader, K.N. Tripathi, also filed his papers. But for now, the spotlight remains on a career politician and a family favorite, not on the right side of age on the one hand, and a former career diplomat not really blessed by the family on the other. With Mosmi Singh, Bureau Report, India Today.
I want to go across to India Today's Amit Bharadwaj, who's live with us from the Congress headquarters. He's been right through, the day at the Congress office, through a day of incredible twists and turns, always reported first here on India Today. Amit, we had predicted that, it was going to be an unpredictable day as far as the Congress party is concerned. Does this settle things? It's going to be Tharoor versus Kharge, or is there still some room for, more twists and turns, Amit?
Well, Shiv, as you said, India Today had very much predicted that it's going to be a wild card entry in the last moment on the day of final day of nomination of the candidature for the Congress party's top post. And that happened. two twists and turns today. Number one, Mr. Digvijaya Singh withdrawing his candidature, saying that I'm not going to file my nomination papers. And second, Mallikarjun Kharge, the leader who is known for a brilliant track record as far as Karnataka politics is concerned. He has been face of the Congress party in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, long experience of understanding the Congress ideology and Congress's organizational structure. And Mr. Digvijaya Singh, along with a battery of senior leaders backing Mr. Kharge. But the second part of your question, is the drama over? Are the turn and twist over? See, if we are talking about the battle between Mr. Shashi Tharoor and Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge, as Mr. Tharoor wants to put it out as a friendly battle to strengthen the Congress party, it appears so that Mr. Shashi Tharoor is not going to withdraw his candidature, because I asked him very specifically today multiple times through the day, and he kept on saying that I'm not going to withdraw, I'm a serious candidate. And giving the final response to our question, he said that many people in the Congress party want a consensus candidate, but I am not one of those. So clearly he's saying that he's not going to withdraw. He also said that a lot of young people have urged him to contest this election. They have put in effort and their energy into it, and that is why he will not withdraw. Back to you, Shiv.
Shashi Tharoor is 66 years old. Mallikarjun Kharge is 80 years old. Not exactly Yuva Netas, even though Shashi Tharoor is much younger than Mallikarjun Kharge. People are a little shocked about the choice of Mallikarjun Kharge, but the Congress has its own compulsions. Aishwarya is also with us. Aishwarya, Kumari Selja has deleted a tweet. She's deleted a tweet where she basically described Mallikarjun Kharge as the chosen one. She thanks the Gandhis for choosing Mallikarjun Kharge, and then on India Today she has said all the other nominees should be withdrawing their nominations. I mean, I don't know why she deleted the tweet, because that was probably the only honest thing that has come out of the Congress in the last 96 hours.
Well, definitely, Shiv. But we all understand what would have happened once she tweeted it. It was, in fact, Ashok Gehlot, when he stepped out of Mallikarjun Kharge's house, he said that all the senior leaders, when we all sat together, the one name we all came, the one name that came from our meeting was Mallikarjun Kharge. So we all, Shiv, can see exactly what's happening. However, all eyes will be on the 4th of October. That's the day when people can take back their names. We'll have to wait and watch, Shiv, whether we will see Shashi Tharoor taking his name back, or whether this will become a seemingly bipolar contest. Shiv.
It's going to be a bipolar contest. I'm wondering if it's actually even a bipolar contest, Aishwarya. You're being very optimistic by calling it bipolar. I think it's going to be totally unipolar. I don't know what's going to happen to poor Shashi Tharoor, because clearly a lot of money has gone into making manifesto, even with the wrong map. This lovely glitzy campaign videos, etc. It's nice to see Shashi Tharoor taking it seriously. He's putting his thumb into the fight, but that's what I'm saying. I'm wondering whether it is actually a fight. Let's just look at the candidates. Thanks very much, Aishwarya and Amit, for getting us those inputs from the Congress office. Let's just show you what 80-year-old Mallikarjun Kharge, he's an old war horse, Dalit leader from Karnataka. Karnataka is a poll-bound state. What are his basic strengths? And, why has he been chosen? He's got a vast organizational and administrative experience. He's 80 years old. He's been in the game for a long time. No electoral base, however, outside the Gulbarga region. That's one of his weaknesses. It says strengths, but the graphic should say weaknesses on that red box. Mallikarjun Kharge's strengths, he's won elections 10 consecutive times. But his weaknesses, he's lost his Lok Sabha seat in that whole tsunami of 2019. One of his strengths, considered loyal to the Gandhi family. He's considered an ultra-loyalist. His children are named after the Gandhi siblings, Rahul, Priyank and Priyadarshini. That is after Indira Gandhi. But one of his weaknesses, he's not a charismatic leader. He can't whip up the masses. One of his strengths, he's a leading south face of the Congress party, highly respected leader. Let's not take that away from him. But one of his weaknesses, age is not on his side. He's 80 years old. He's part of the old guard. So those are the strengths and weaknesses of Mallikarjun Kharge at this point of time. Now let's show you the strengths and weaknesses of Shashi Tharoor. Comparably younger, but also much more of a known face. His strengths, he's a 3-time sitting Lok Sabha MP in Kerala. In many ways, he's gone against the tide of the Namo wave, as it were, to win elections. Weaknesses, He's from the G23, which is considered the rebel faction within the Congress party. He's got huge celebrity status. Everybody knows Shashi Tharoor. He's a big social media star. Weakness seen as possibly close, not seen as close to the Gandhis. One of his strengths, popular with the middle class. Weakness, not articulate in Hindi, but he's told India Today that he's definitely trying, and he's demonstrated that he's willing to put that work in. He's got global appeal. He used to work for the United Nations, so he's got that international appeal about him, but he's controversial. He finds himself on the wrong end of headlines quite often. So those are a couple of quick report cards of both Mallikarjun Kharge and Shashi Tharoor, who are now confirmed to be the two people who will be part of this so-called race to be a non-Gandhi president of the Congress party. Now, while the wildcard entry of Mallikarjun Kharge in the Congress party wasn't the only big surprise today, the other big talking point was the presence of Congress rebel leaders as Kharge filed his nomination. The G23 has become the G Huzur 23. Remember the G23 group that had been very vocal in its criticism of the status quo within the party and had been demanding a leadership change to revive the Congress's electoral fortunes? Each and every one of them, I mean, in the most pathetic show of bending, have all become proposers for Mallikarjun Kharge. All of these dissenters lined up to back the unofficial pick of the Gandhis, the person who even Kumari Selja has acknowledged as being the chosen one of the Gandhis. They've all lined up to become his proposers. Mallikarjun Kharge, in fact, the G23 leaders like Manish Tiwari, Prithviraj Sawan, Salman Khurshid were all writing their names on that proposal nomination papers for Mallikarjun Kharge. The more things change in the Congress, the more they remain the same. The G23 was always a joke, in my personal opinion. They've become even more of a joke and exposed themselves in full public view in front of their electorates, in front of Congress supporters, in front of Karyakartas, in front of everyone today. Basically, the High Command has taught the G23 a lesson and truly shown them what their औकात really is.
सर, क्या आपको लगता है जो चुनाव की ये प्रक्रिया है, इससे एक अच्छा मैसेज
है? कांग्रेस पार्टी में चुनाव होता है संविधान के अनुसार, और भी जो है इसके बाद भी जो आवश्यक है, मुझे ऐसा विश्वास है कि वो भी होगा। कांग्रेस कार्यकारिणी के भी चुनाव होंगे और एक समावेशी सामूहिक नेतृत्व कांग्रेस को आगे लेकर चलेगा।
शशि थरूर कैंडिडेट को कैसे?
मेरी शुभकामनाएं
दी, पर समर्थन नहीं दिया आप लोगों ने।
अब वो तो अपने अपने सोच और निर्णय है।
आपका ग्रुप का हिस्सा थे
वो तो बहुत थे, वो तो इलेक्शन अथॉरिटी में भी बैठे हैं, वो तो मुकुल वासनिक भी थे, कई प्रस्तावक उसी का हिस्सा थे। कोई एक पार्टी में गुट नहीं था। हमने सुधार की बात की थी, सुझाव दिए थे, वो गुट नहीं था।
संदेश देने की कोशिश है कि चुनाव हो रहा है, ये हमारा संदेश है, और कहीं चुनाव नहीं होता।
मैच फिक्स तो नहीं है सलमान साहब, मैच फिक्स
पहले रिजल्ट तो देख लीजिए, रिजल्ट देख लीजिए, फिर मुझसे ये सवाल पूछिएगा। अभी हम क्या जाने क्या होगा, रिजल्ट आने दीजिए। खुलकर चुनाव हो रहा है, सबको इजाज़त है, हम भी खड़े हो सकते थे, कोई और खड़ा हो सकता है, सब लोगों के सामने है और लोग वोट डालेंगे और अपना निर्णय सामने आ जाएगा।
राहुल गांधी रेस से हट गए, पहली बार हो रहा है कि 24 साल में एक गैर गांधी अध्यक्ष बनने जा रहे हैं।
देखिए, इससे कोई समस्या नहीं है, हम बड़ा स्पष्ट पहले से कह चुके हैं, मैं स्वयं कह चुका हूं कि प्रेसिडेंट और लीडर एक ही नहीं होता है। प्रेसिडेंट भी लीडर होता है, लेकिन एक उसके साथ साथ एक प्रमुख लीडर होता है। प्रमुख लीडर अगर ये जिम्मेदारी नहीं समझता है कि वो ले किसी और को दे, तो उसमें कोई हर्ज नहीं है।
Is Mr. Kharge the unofficial official candidate of the Congress leadership?
Mr. Kharge is the senior most leader in the party. He was a leader of opposition in Rajya Sabha, and I think all of us should now rally around and unanimously elect him the next president.
But an 80-year-old, is this the time to have an 80-year-old? The Congress surely needed someone younger. Your name was doing the rounds.
No, thank you very much. The media was doing a lot, was being very kind. But the point is that his experience will surely help the party. You know, there is time when experience is also required, And the way he is conducting, he has whole lifetime of commitment to the party, and I think we will benefit.
Ma'am, but till a few days ago it was Ashok Gehlot, then Digvijaya Singh, now Mallikarjun Kharge. What is going on? ये हो क्या रहा है कांग्रेस में?
No, Digvijay ji himself has said he did take the form. He was saying he was going to, and now I think he himself has withdrawn, and it would be in the fitness of things if Kharge ji is elected unanimously.
शशि थरूर कल भी हमारे मित्र थे, आज भी मित्र हैं, कल भी रहेंगे। पर जहां तक कांग्रेस पार्टी का सवाल है, आप देखेंगे कि जिन सब लोगों ने अपना पूरा जीवन कांग्रेस पार्टी में व्यतीत किया है, वो सारे आज यहाँ पे हैं। दिग्विजय सिंह जी बहुत सत्कारयोग लीडर हैं और दिग्विजय सिंह जी ने बहुत ही ग्रेस दिखाते हुए अपना नामांकन वापस लिया है। तो अगर आम सहमति बन जाए तो अच्छा होगा।
Now, the outsider in this race to be a non-Gandhi president of the Congress party is Shashi Tharoor. It's now between the loyalist of the Gandhi family, Mallikarjun Kharge, 80 years old, and the dissenter, Shashi Tharoor, because he was part of the G23. Shashi Tharoor, the celebrity MP from Thiruvananthapuram, Kerala, strong critic of the high command culture in general, in the recent past especially, has filed his nomination to be the Congress president. And he's taking it with unusual seriousness. He's got campaign videos out, he's got a campaign plan out, he's got a campaign manifesto out. Is there something that he knows that we don't know? Or is this all just a part of the act? Take a look at Shashi Tharoor's story.
A contender for the top Congress post.
एक और बात धन्यवाद कहना चाहता हूं कांग्रेस अध्यक्ष सोनिया गांधी जी से। वो लोग कहें कि चुनाव पार्टी के लिए अच्छा है, कि पार्टी को मजबूत करेंगे, क्योंकि लोग हमारे जैसे आप कर रहे हैं, आप ध्यान देंगे हमारे पार्टी को, और मेरे ख्याल में इस ध्यान से कांग्रेस का संदेश और लोगों के मन में और हृदय में पहुंचेगा।
An outspoken member of the G23 group, vocal against the Gandhis' model of centralized decision-making in the party. Tharoor is now being seen as a lone man standing, despite claiming the Gandhis have vowed neutrality in the race.
I was not prepared for the extraordinarily enthusiastic collection of Congress workers who accompanied me to outside and inside AICC headquarters, and I thank them all through you for their great enthusiasm and show of support.
The stage is set for a fresh showdown as senior members of the grand old party cling on to the status quo.
ये 23 लोग मेरे ख्याल में कभी भी एक साथ इकट्ठे नहीं हुए हैं मेरी जानकारी में। अगर उनमें से कुछ लोग 4-5 लोग जो भी है खरगे साहब को मदद करेंगे, मैं बिल्कुल रिस्पेक्ट करता हूं। ये तो अच्छी बात है खरगे साहब के लिए।
With his G23 colleagues also throwing their weight behind the Gandhi loyalist Mallikarjun Kharge, Tharoor seems to have launched himself into mission impossible. He called Kharge the Bhishma Pitama of the Congress but insisted he will not back down.
He's been a terrific leader for many, many years. I think he's one of the great giants, the Bhishma Pitama of our party in some ways. He's the leader of the opposition in the Rajya Sabha. Let's respect Mr. Kharge.
A section within the Congress now wants Tharoor to pull out of the race.
Mr. Kharge is the senior most leader in the party. He was a leader of opposition in Rajya Sabha, and I think all of us should now rally around and unanimously elect him the next president.
With the scales clearly tipping in Kharge's favor, one could say Tharoor is already out of the race. His fight seems more symbolic now. Bureau Report, India Today.
And very unfortunately for Shashi Tharoor, on a day when he filed his nomination, threw his hat into the ring of an election that most people think isn't an election at all, another controversy for poor Mr. Tharoor. Dr. Tharoor, I beg your pardon. He had a wrong map on his campaign manifesto. How much more unfortunate can it get than that? It isn't the first time that Shashi Tharoor has, brandished a map that was incorrect. He did it in 2019 once. Knowing Dr. Shashi Tharoor, I know this was most certainly not deliberate. He is a patriot himself for sure. This must have been an error by his team, but this is the politics of perception, and image is everything, and he's come under attack as well. A corrected map has now been released by Dr. Tharoor's office to rectify this embarrassing blunder in the Jammu and Kashmir map in his campaign manifesto. But now Andaman, Nicobar and Lakshadweep are missing from the India map. Incredible. I mean, it's one mistake after another. Poor Dr. Tharoor. The new map, which was supposed to correct the original error, is now missing Andaman, Nicobar and Lakshadweep. So India's island territories have simply been wiped out. It's a comedy of errors. I mean, this is something that Dr. Tharoor shouldn't have to be bogged down by at this point of time. But sadly, that's the era of social media, and all little errors of this kind are going to be amplified in a big way. And not to say that these aren't big errors, these are. Care must be taken for things like this, especially for someone like Dr. Tharoor, who's very popular on social media. The first picture he tweeted out with his election manifesto had India's head chopped off. There was no Jammu and Kashmir. And now, with a corrected map, including J&K, there's no Lakshadweep and Andaman and Nicobar. What an absolute series of blunders. Amit Bharadwaj, my colleague, is still with me. I want to quickly get in. Amit, this is like a comedy of errors. I'm feeling a little bad for Dr. Tharoor because this was his day in the spotlight in a very big way, nominating himself, campaign manifesto, etc. And getting those maps wrong has got to be really embarrassing. I'm sure he's really annoyed about this.
Well, absolutely right, Shiv. It was his day in the sense that he at least decided that he's not going to surrender in front of someone like as tall as Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge, and he's still going to have a friendly battle with him. But moments after the release of the manifesto, India Today broke the story that there's a blunder, major goof-up, massive goof-up in that particular map that has been released, which is part of the Mr. Tharoor's manifesto. And in fact, Dr. Tharoor was holding that particular map in his hand while he was talking about emphasizing there is a need to decentralize power in the Congress party, as to how right now the entire power is actually centralized in the national capital with the AICC headquarters.
Right.
And even a district president is appointed by the AICC headquarters, not by the PCCs. Well, he was making out that point, but even then he could not notice that there was a blunder in that map. And there's another map which has been rectified, issued by Shashi Tharoor's office. And this time around, Shiv, Andaman and Nicobar and Lakshadweep Islands are actually missing. So clearly, one mistake by another on this very day when he has filed his nomination. And he's certainly annoyed right now. He could be, what we are expecting is that whether his office is going to release a statement, detailed statement on this blunder or not. We know for a matter of fact that it won't be Mr. Tharoor who would have put that map on the manifesto. But definitely the onus, the bug will stop. No,
it's going to have a great deal of nuisance value for him on a day when he needs to be really focused because of all the shape-shifting politics that's erupting around him. He's taken a pot shot at the High Command also, calling Mallikarjun Kharge a symbol of continuity instead of the change that he, Tharoor, represents. So all of these things are going to have nuisance value for Tharoor. I'm sure he's pretty annoyed about it, but he will have to issue a statement. That's the price you pay for having the glare of the media, especially social media, on you 24 hours a day. Amit, thank you very much for that. Now, I've got to be really honest, viewer. We are idiots, and I talk about myself especially, if we think that the events of the last 3 days don't make it totally clear that there is no presidential election in the Congress party. One must admire the straight face with which the Congress party praises itself for this amazing free and fair process of choosing its next party president. This silly mukhota of democracy has started slipping. It did in Jaipur, when it was blankly assumed that Ashok Gehlot would be the party president. The rebellion caught the Congress so badly off guard that they forgot that they were supposed to say that Gehlot will contest the election, not that he was being moved Bori Bistar to Delhi. And things have just unraveled from there like a silly soap opera. Now it's a sensational free-for-all with the Gandhis lurching from one nominee to the next, while Shashi Tharoor brilliantly acts oblivious to this Game of Thrones exploding around him and continues to treat this like an actual election. While the BJP sits on the sidelines and sniggers at this tamasha, the Congress has predictably fallen into that trap, ending up sounding defensive and petulant. The Congress has launched a laughable counterattack saying JP Nadda is not elected, he is selected. But then nobody is telling the Congress that the BJP hasn't been shouting from the rooftops for the last decade, boasting about any internal party democracy. They don't claim it really. They've been too busy perfecting a command structure that wins them elections and keeps the party in battle-ready mode 24/7, 365 days a year, like it or not. Whatever be a political party's obligations on internal elections, including commitments in internal constitutions, etc., which is very noble, I think the Congress is wasting its time trying to overprove a point that hardly matters to voters. Voters want clarity of purpose, leadership and vision. I very much doubt voters are sitting around and wondering, "Arey, is party mein internal democracy nahi hai, main isko vote nahi dunga." Don't get me wrong. Parties must be the ones creating this chaotic, vibrant democracy that we love so much in this country. But in my personal view, and I will be attacked for it, I know, a party itself needs to be like an army. There's no democracy in the army, but it functions on a system of merit and progression and selects the best for the top positions. You can waste your time talking about authoritarian internal structures of the BJP or the power of the few, which may be true, but when those structures work to convey a vision, mobilize well and win elections, nobody has the time to wistfully long for some theoretical internal democracy in the party. Internal democracy sounds wonderful. And in Rahul Gandhi's defense, he has spoken about this for years together, long before this current tamasha in his party. But as a party with a still large electorate, is this shaky idea of internal elections really what they'd rather invest all their energy in? And after the events of the last few days, does anyone believe it's an election and not a selection? Look at how this silly musical chairs has diverted media attention away from the Bharat Jodo Yatra, which I personally think is a solid, meaningful campaign. The Congress has acquired a tough exterior, recasting itself as a party that won't play on the back foot anymore, which is a good thing. And which is why I'm saying stop this charade of internal democracy. There's no need to be defensive about not having it. No political party in India does. Let me repeat that. No political party has real internal democracy.
Everyone's busy finding what's trending. You're busy finding out why. India Today, for those who research before reacting. Download the India Today app now.
President Vladimir Putin will formally annex 4 partially Russian-occupied regions of Ukraine on Friday, a move already rejected by Kyiv and its Western allies. Kremlin has said a ceremony to mark the incorporation of Donetsk, Luhansk, Kherson, Zaporozhye into Russia will take place at 3 p.m. Moscow time. Here's a report.
Close to 8 months after Russia launched its so-called special operations into Ukraine on the 24th of February, Moscow is all set to formally annex and take control of 4 provinces of Ukraine after a 4-day-long referendum. Russia already controls Crimea since 2014 and now is in control of Kherson, close to 70% of Donetsk, a major part of Zaporozhye and the entire Luhansk province. Referendum that the West and Ukraine describe as a sham was conducted over 4 days from the 23rd of September in Luhansk and Donetsk in the east and Zaporozhye and Kherson in the south. Russian President Vladimir Putin is to make a formal announcement, and there would be a signing ceremony at the Red Square in Moscow Friday evening. There is also a grand concert planned to celebrate what Russia describes as its victory.
The process of forming a fairer world order is happening before our eyes. It's accompanied by known and obvious problems. Unipolar hegemony is collapsing relentlessly. It's an objective reality the West doesn't want to accept.
З канцлером Німеччини обговорили широке коло питань політичні.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has described the referendum as a pseudo-referendum exercise and insists nothing changes for Ukraine. He told his people that their effort would be to retake old territory lost to Russia.
political parties traveling from different parts.
Armed with facts,
Looking at political back.
she takes the news by its horns.
Do you think the future of these students are not hampered?
Fierce, bold, and direct, setting the tone for the biggest stories from every corner and every angle. Expect nothing but the unfiltered truth.
News first, niceties later. Watch me, Nabila Jamal, on India Today.
Everyone's busy finding what's trending. You're busy finding out why. India Today, for those who research before reacting. Download the India Today app now. Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices.
In just moments from now, Russia and its President Putin will officially own 15% of Ukrainian territory that they claim. Vladimir Putin, who is set to host a Kremlin ceremony with live pictures coming in from there, announcing the annexation of 4 regions of Ukraine since the war began at the end of February this year. The action comes after Russia stated that 99% of the people in the territories were in favor of joining the Federation of Russia. About 15% of all of Ukraine now is under Russian military control, including Donetsk, Luhansk, Kherson, and Zaporizhia. Zaporizhia, remember, is the place that has Europe's large nuclear power facility as well. More than 90,000 square kilometers, about the same territory size as Hungary or Portugal, will make up the areas that now Russia claims as its own. These are live pictures coming in from Russia, where a ceremony will kick off very, very shortly. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has slammed Russia, as he has since the beginning of the operation, over this referendum, even as dozens of civilians have been killed in what Ukraine's capital Kyiv says was a cynical Russian missile strike on a convoy of civilian cars in Zaporizhia, one of the territories that Putin is about to officially claim as Russian territory. A Russian missile hit a 9-story apartment block in Mykolaiv as well. US President Joe Biden has strongly denounced Russia's referendum and said that Washington will never accept any redrawn maps of Ukraine or accept Russia's territorial claims against that country.
Россия не получит новую территорию Украины. Россия присоединит себя к той катастрофе, которую она принесла на оккупированную территорию нашей страны. Россия приравняет себя к так называемым ДНР и ЛНР, окончательно добьет те институции нормальной государственности, которые в России еще оставались. Оккупант заполняет могилами захваченную территорию Украины.
The United States will never recognize Russia's claims on Ukraine's sovereign territory. This so-called referendum was a sham, an absolute sham. The results were manufactured in Moscow. And the true will of the Ukrainian people is evident every day as they sacrifice their lives to save their people and maintain the independence of their country.
President Putin will formally annex 4 partially Russian-occupied regions of Ukraine in just a few minutes from now. Those are live pictures on your screen right now from the ceremony at the Kremlin in Moscow, where the official announcement and the decree will be declared. It's a move that has already, as you just heard, been rejected by Ukraine and its president and their Western allies. The Kremlin says this ceremony that's already about to begin to mark the incorporation of Donetsk, Luhansk, Kherson and Zaporizhia into Russia and the Russian Federation takes place any moment now. Here's a report on how things have reached this point. Take a look at that map. Those are the redrawn territories that now become part of Russia. 15% of Ukraine now being claimed officially by Putin in a moment from now as Russian territory. Take a look at this report.
Close to 8 months after Russia launched its so-called special operations into Ukraine on the 24th of February, Moscow is all set to formally annex and take control of 4 provinces of Ukraine after a 4-day-long referendum. Russia already controls Crimea since 2014 and now is in control of Kherson, close to 70% of Donetsk, a major part of Zaporozhye, and the entire Luhansk province. Referendum that the West and Ukraine over 4 days from the 23rd of September in Luhansk and Donetsk in the east and Zaporozhye and Kherson in the south. Russian President Vladimir Putin is to make a formal announcement and there would be a signing ceremony at the Red Square in Moscow Friday evening. There is also a grand concert planned to celebrate what Russia describes as its victory.
The process of forming a fairer world order is happening before our eyes. It's accompanied by known and obvious problems. Unipolar hegemony is collapsing relentlessly. It's an objective reality the West doesn't want to accept.
З канцлером Німеччини обговорили широке коло питань політичні.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has described the referendum as a pseudo-referendum exercise and insists nothing changes for Ukraine. He told his people that their effort would be to retake old territory lost to Russia.
Підвищувати ставки, ескалювати конфлікт.
And I want to emphasize the following. Ukraine has no chance, and Europe has no chance to properly end the war, except for the gradual and effective liberation of all its territories. Otherwise, Russia will feel that it has the right to blackmail the world, raise the stakes, and escalate the conflict, and see itself as the victor in what they will see as a grievous war against Europe.
Ми маємо звільнити в повному обсязі свою територію. Тільки це.
The Russian referendum in the 4 regions has been criticized by several Western countries, insisting that the process was neither free nor fair or transparent.
The signing ceremony of the treaties on new territories joining Russia will be held tomorrow at the Grand Kremlin Palace in St. George's Hall at 3 p.m.
Russia's 2 houses of parliament are also set to formally ratify the referendum and the new territories becoming a part of Russia. President Putin is also expected to address the upper house of the Russian parliament in the first week of October, ahead of his 70th birthday. Both the US and Europe have warned Russia of more sanctions.
We're together proposing a new package of biting sanctions against Russia. So we propose sweeping new import bans on Russian products. This will keep Russian products out of the European market and deprive Russia of an additional 7 billion euros in revenues.
European leaders have said that Russian forces took people, often at gunpoint, for the referendum, and the same cannot be accepted by the world. Ukraine's forces, backed by US and NATO weapons, have successfully taken back some territory from Russian control on the other eastern axis around Kharkiv, but challenges remain immense with the onset of winters. With Bureau Inputs, Gaurav Sawant, India Today.
Now, we've got live pictures coming in from Moscow where that ceremony is about to kick off. The president of Russia will be presiding over the ceremony of the annexation of those territories. Joining me live now is Gaurav Sawant, our managing editor who spent many months in Ukraine, including those territories which are about to be declared as part of the Russian Federation. But I'd first like to go across to Ksenia Kondratieva. She's live with us from Moscow. Ksenia, good to have you with us here on India Today. Could you take us through? You know, we can see the Russian president walking in right now. Ksenia, could you quickly tell us what we are about to see in this ceremony?
Sure. So the ceremony is taking place at the Kremlin, which is right behind me, is the Red Square and the Kremlin. A lot of people have been assembled in front of the Kremlin. There will be a concert. There is a heavy military police presence around it. So we expect the 4 treaties to be signed with 4 heads of the territories. 2 of them have declared independence from Ukraine back in 2014, but they have been recognized by Russia only in February 2022, when after which the current ongoing conflict have started. And 2 regions are parts of Ukraine, Zaporozhye and Kherson regions. So with 4 of them, the treaties will be signed, after which they will have to be ratified by the parliament. There is a procedure which will take several days, and we have to see what's happening next.
Okay, stay with me, Ksenia. The Russian president is just speaking. He's speaking, of course, in Russian. I just want to listen for a moment before we get in an English feed. Let's just listen to the president of Russia.
И это, конечно, их право, их неотъемлемое право, которое закреплено в первой статье Устава ООН.
Began his invasion, his special operation, as Russia called it, in Ukraine at the end of February this year. The president has been widely derided by Western countries as well as President Zelensky in Ukraine for this entire operation. We'll get you an English translation in just a moment to what the president is speaking right now. But Gaurav, I want to quickly bring you in on this. Okay, Ksenia, I understand you can translate for us what the president is saying. Go ahead, Ksenia.
So basically, he speaks about the people of those regions. It's their right to decide in which country they want to live. He talks about the World War and the grandfathers who fought with the Nazi army in the World War II.
Жертвы бесчеловечных терактов, устроенных киевским режимом. Это добровольцы и ополченцы. Это мирные.
He speaks about people who died from Ukrainian missiles
Украинцы, люди самых
throughout
разных
these 8 years.
Это настоящий народный лидер Донецка Александр Захарченко. Это боевые командиры Арсен Павлов.
He remembers people, including Alexander Zakharchenko, who was the leader of Donetsk People's Republic, who was killed.
Это десантник Нурмагомед Гаджимугамедов и все наши солдаты и офицеры, павшие смертью.
He speaks of the Russian soldiers who died at the battlefield in the current operation.
Герои Великой России. И прошу почтить их память минутой молчания.
And there is a moment of silence for those who died in the war.
For those who've been lost from the Russian side in the war that is being observed at this time. Everyone's on their feet, as requested by the president, as he now continues with the ceremony. Go ahead, Ksenia.
В Донецкой и Луганской народных республиках, в Запорожской и Херсонской областях. Наша общая судьба и тысячелетняя история.
He's saying Russia and those who chose their new fate for themselves,
несмотря на все испытания, пронесли через года любовь к России. И это чувство никто не может в нас
despite all the hardships they have gone through all these 8 years. That's why both elderly people and the young people voted to be with Russia.
В 1991 году в Беловежской пуще, не спрашивая волю рядовых граждан, представители партии...
He's talking about the collapse of USSR in 1991, that this was something that brought hardships to people because the country was divided and the society was divided. It was a catastrophe, national catastrophe, like the October Revolution of 1917. He's saying despite in 1991 people voted to keep the Soviet Union as a single country, the later Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev went ahead. Without understanding what kind of consequences people will face, and that was a catastrophe.
Прошлого не вернуть. Да и России сегодня это уже и не нужно. Мы к этому не стремимся.
He's saying that Russia is not willing to bring the past. It doesn't need that. But it wants to preserve its traditions and language.
Чьи предки на протяжении веков жили в едином государстве. Нет ничего сильнее решимости этих людей вернуться в свою подлинную.
He speaks of the people of the joining territories as Russian people who speak Russian language, who preserve the Russian culture.
А в Херсоне и Запорожье в них пытались.
And they have gone through a lot in the last 8 years.
К России, ко всему русскому.
He said that in Kherson region and Zaporozhia, Ukrainian government was trying to make people hate Russian culture.
Репрессиями миллионы людей, которые пришли выразить свою волю.
And millions of people during the referendums were under a threat that they can be killed or attacked. He addresses the Kiev leadership.
Люди, живущие в Луганске, Донецке, Херсоне и Запорожье, становятся нашими гражданами.
People from Luhansk, Donetsk, Kherson and Zaporozhye are becoming Russian citizens forever. That's how Putin addressed the Kiev leadership.
Мы призываем киевский режим немедленно прекратить огонь, все боевые действия, ту войну, которую он развязал еще в 2014 году, и вернуться за стол переговоров.
Attacking the republics and to return to negotiations and to sit at the table and negotiate.
Обсуждать не будем.
But the choice of people won't be discussed with Kiev. They have done their choice, and Russia will not go back and won't betray the people.
И сегодняшние киевские власти должны относиться к этому свободному волеизъявлению людей с уважением и никак иначе.
Kiev authorities should respect the vote of people, the decision of people, and that's the path to peace.
И сделаем все, чтобы обеспечить
Russia will protect its territories with whatever capabilities it has.
Освободительная миссия нашего народа.
And that's the mission of Russia.
Жилье, школа, больницы.
It will build back the territories, the schools, the hospitals. It will invest in the infrastructure, in the manufacturing facilities and all spheres of life.
Повышением уровня безопасности. Вместе сделаем так, чтобы граждане в новых регионах
It will increase the level of security in the new territories,
всех республик,
so that people there feel the support from the Russian people, from the rest of Russia.
Уважаемые друзья, коллеги, сегодня хочу обратиться к солдатам и офицерам, которые участвуют в специальной
Mr. Putin is addressing the soldiers who are participating in the special military operation and those who have been mobilized just recently during last 1 week, and the volunteers who go and fight on their own will.
За что сражается наш народ? Какой враг?
He's explaining why, what are they fighting for.
В новые войны и кризисы, извлекая из этой трагедии свою кровавую выгоду. Наши соотечественники, наши братья и сестры на Украине, родная часть нашего единого народа, своими глазами увидели то,
He's saying that people in Ukraine, citizens of Ukraine, are the brotherly nation, and they are being threatened by the Kiev regime.
Всем нам навсегда придется мириться с его диктатом. Тогда, в 1991 году, Запад рассчитывал, что Россия от таких потрясений уже не оправится и дальше развалится.
He's talking about the West trying to break Russia's bone and do everything that Russia collapses.
Но Россия устояла, возродилась, окрепла.
After 1991, after the collapse of Soviet Union, Russia could emerge as a powerful nation.
Новый шанс ударить по нам, ослабить и развалить Россию.
So West is always trying to continue what it couldn't do in 1991. And it also is trying to make people of several countries, Ukraine and Russia, fight against each other.
С народом, который не умеет и никогда не будет жить по чужой указке.
He's saying that Russian people will never obey anyone's orders or dance to anyone's tunes. He refers to the West. He's saying that West is robbing the world by using the power of dollar.
Источник незаработанного благополучия, ренту гегемона. Сохранение этой ренты – их ключевой, подлинный и абсолютно корыстный мотив. Вот почему их интересам отвечает тотальная десуверенизация. Отсюда их агрессия к независимым
государствам. He's speaking of the West's aggression towards the independence government, independent countries who seek sovereignty. That the West wants to control all the centers of development globally. Its policies against the sovereignty.
Добровольно соглашаются стать вассалами. Другие их подкупают.
So some countries decide voluntarily to give up their sovereignty, and some not, and they're being destroyed, and that's the humanitarian catastrophe that we see globally.
Террористические анклавы, зоны социального
Millions of people have suffered.
Колонии и полуколонии. Да им все равно, лишь бы получать свою выгоду. Хочу еще
But the West still tries to
в намерении сохранить свою ничем не ограниченную власть и есть подлинные причины той гибридной войны, которую коллективный Запад ведет против.
He's talking of the hybrid war that the West raged against Russia. They want to see Russia as a colony. They don't want any balanced cooperation.
Для них прямая угроза наша мысль и философия.
Our thoughts and philosophy is a threat to the West, Mr. Putin says.
Пытаются их запретить. Наше развитие и процветание тоже для них угроза.
So us developing our country flourishing is something they don't want to. But we need this country.
Хочу напомнить, что претензии на мировое господство в прошлом уже не раз разбивались о мужество и стойкость нашего народа. Россия всегда будет Россией.
He recalls the Second World War, when Russia fought with the Nazi Germany again.
Что ему все сойдет с рук. Да все, собственно говоря, все исходило с рук до сих пор. Соглашение в сфере стратегической безопасности.
He's saying that the West hasn't paid for its deeds around the world.
Объявляются небылицами. All
right, so we're getting you some of the highlights of what Russian President Vladimir Putin has said, essentially announcing that 15% of Ukraine now belongs to Russia, and making it very, very clear that the results of the referendum will not be up for any sort of discussion, and that Russia will continue this fight with regards to their own territory, as he says, to ward off any threats from the West and the United States. All of the
कन्याकुमारी से कश्मीर तक ये भारत जोड़ो यात्रा चलेगी।
State of war Karnataka heats up. Congress Yatra enters BJP ruled Karnataka. Rousing reception for Rahul Gandhi. BJP versus Congress poster war erupts. Vandalism and taunts take center stage. Will Yatra boost Congress's poll chances? That's our top focus on 6 p.m. Prime.
Good evening. You're watching 6 p.m. Prime. I'm Akshita Nandagopal. Everyone today is talking about what's playing out within the Grand Old Party, within the Congress, and this churn that we're seeing in the Congress presidential race, election, if you'd like to call it that. So on one hand, you have the Congress that's rather divided over who should be the top chief. It's very clear it's not going to be a Gandhi. So what is Rahul Gandhi busy with? He said he's not going to contest any of this Congress presidential election. He's busy with his nationwide Bharat Jodo Yatra. But if you thought at any point that all of these twists and turns that we've been seeing in the Congress presidential polls is to keep the Gandhis out, to ensure that someone besides the Gandhis take over, perhaps what is the biggest reality check is a statement that's been made by a very senior Congress leader, Jairam Ramesh, who says it doesn't matter who this individual or individuals are, all that matters is the Bharat Jodo Yatra. Why? Because Rahul Gandhi is there. And that pretty much sums up for you what the state of mind is for the Congress.
So, when people say Congress party is doing Bharat Jodo, but who is Todoing Bharat? Our answer is Mr. Modi's ideology, Mr. Modi's policies, Mr. Modi's personality is Todoing Bharat. It is Todoing Bharat because economic inequality is increasing, because social polarization is increasing, and because political over-centralization is increasing. So this is the simple reason.
So you see that statement made by Jairam Ramesh at a time when Rahul Gandhi has now entered Karnataka as part of the Bharat Jodo Yatra. For 21 days now, he's going to be focusing on this state, which is crucial for the Congress. Look at that image on your screen. This is Rahul Gandhi with DK Shivkumar and Siddaramaiah, each of them flanking him. You've got him beating drums with full energy.